can all join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
Keeping the palms joined. Put palms down. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. Thank you for showing up. Anyone here for the first time? Those who are here for the first time, what brings you here? Friends brought you. What'd they tell you?
I've been always very interested, so.
Yeah, nice. So it wasn't hard to convince you to show up here. Glad you're here. Welcome.
Just want to explore.
Explore what?
Meditation.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you came here. Hopefully it'll not disappoint you. What else? First time here. Why? Yeah.
Yeah, explorer. Buddha, good philosopher.
Yeah. You're a good philosopher.
No, I'm not.
Oh. Well, the Buddha's dead. So if you're not, and the Buddha died, that's going to be a tough one, man. Yeah.
I think everybody in the room wants to be like me to try.
You did. Oh, man. I know a lot of people in this room, man. I always laugh when people say they come because they want to be around like-minded people. And I'm like, dude, you don't want to be like the people's minds that are in this room, especially mine, you know? My mind is hell. It's just hell. I'm not even kidding, you know? Yeah. What else? First time here and why? Yeah.
Just check it out and see what it's about.
Nice. Well, glad you're here. A hand in the back somewhere. It's always smart first time to sit in the back because if you hate it, you can just sneak out. Nobody even knows. In the back corner with the dark. What's going on? How you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I went.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to your temple when you were in downtown.
I remember you.
Yeah.
Wait. What's your name?
Eddie.
Yeah, I remember you. Long time. Hi. Welcome. Yeah. Well, where you been the last 10 years?
Away from downtown.
Oh, so it's our fault. We moved away from downtown. Yeah. Did we bring a couple statues to your house years ago? Was that you?
I don't remember.
No? Okay. Maybe it was somebody else. Well, welcome back. I'm glad you found us. Yeah. In the back?
Exploring higher power and recovery.
Yeah. Nice. Well, good. Yeah, glad you're all here. It's always an adventure to sit with a bunch of strangers and try to work through everybody's crazy minds. This is a funny night. A lot of you are on different sides. A lot of you are here. People who haven't been here in like what? I mean, yeah, some of you haven't been here in years, and all of a sudden you just pop up tonight. Well, you were here Saturday, so it's your second time back. You know, yeah, I mean, you were already here Saturday. What's that?
Oh, you can.
You count. Dana's behind you, so you count. Yes. Yeah, this practice is interesting, and I mean, we built this 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to local folks, meaning in essence those people who are brand new or newer to meditation and to Buddhism. And so for the last 18 years, we've watched people show up here wanting to explore. And my question always is like, well, what are you even wanting to explore? And people often, almost always, are wanting to explore meditation. They want to explore Buddhism. They want to explore philosophy. They want to explore something outside of themselves. And then in time, hopefully you begin to wake up to the reality of this practice, that this practice isn't about waking up to anything outside of yourself. It's not about exploring of some other philosophy or some other person or some other way or some other higher power. This practice is about exploring yourself. That's it. And then after like a few weeks of that, you begin to come across in some Buddhist teachings where the Buddha talked about there is no self. So it takes you like 4 weeks to figure out you're really just supposed to explore yourself. And then you stumble upon chapter 6 that says, well, there is no self. And then you're just completely confused. And that's how Buddhism really begins. And I'm being very serious. I'm a big fan of thinking that this practice really is here to absolutely confuse us, but to learn to be okay with that confusion. Because we're often trying to understand everything, solve everything, fix everything. Because we often think that everything is wrong. And for many people who show up to meditation and Buddhist stuff or spiritual stuff like this, many of them have been telling themselves their entire life that they're what? Wrong. No good. Bad people. Not only have they been telling themselves that, they've listened to it from others. And they've just reinforced and ingrained that in their mind that there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with any of you. At all. You know why? There is no you. So how could there be anything wrong with you? I mean, have you all done things that have harmed yourself and others? Yes. Have you all done things that have helped yourself and others? That's it. You don't need to define that. You don't need to label that. You don't need to judge that. You don't need to critique that. You don't need to put it under a category or definition. This is just your life's experience. You've done some good, you've done some bad. You've brought some joy, you've brought some harm. This is life. And this process will repeat, and then we will die. And that's it. So since that's the journey, why not try spending a little bit of time not hating yourself, not telling yourself what a terrible person you are, not telling yourself everything is wrong with you, not telling yourself that you need to be fixed or solved. Just experience life. This is the practice of non-attachment. Go through your life and just experience moment to moment, working on being kind and gentle to yourself and everybody else. That's all. The sooner you stop trying to figure out everything and understand every single experience that has occurred in your life up to this point, the much more joyful you will be. You will never understand everything that's happened in your life. It's impossible. Because to understand that everything that's happened in your life would require you to understand everything that's going on in everybody else's minds and hearts and experiences. We can't do that. We have a hard enough time figuring out what we want to eat for lunch, yet we think we're going to understand something that happened to us 40 years ago and try to make peace with it. Try to make peace with this moment, this experience, this life as it is right now. To me, this is what it means to practice present moment, to move through attachment that we've been holding on to stories our whole lives, and to just be grateful that you're even still alive. I mean, what an incredible experience to just be alive. Be grateful for that. If you're here in this room on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, you have a lot of things in your life to be grateful for. But how much time do you spend thinking about that? So with that, we'll start with a meditation practice. To those who are joining virtually, thank you for being here. If you have any, or if you want to say hello, there's a chat box on your screen. Feel free to say hello. When we get to questions, you can put them there as well. So for those who are maybe sitting for the first time, a couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice, meaning don't ask yourself, is this working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos, and this practice is learning to get quiet and still within all of the chaos. Posture, you just want to be comfortable. If you're on a cushion, often it helps slide into the front third, pushing the stomach forward. If you're on a bench or chair, however you're seated, also just trying to sit up straight, relaxing the shoulders. Hands can be on the knees or lap, whatever's comfortable for you. If you need to move, simply move. Movement doesn't make you a bad meditator, just means you need to move. And again, for those who are new or maybe sitting in meditation for the first time, just a reminder, you will not shut your mind off. It will not go blank. You will not think nothing. Your mind will continue to race as much as it always does. I'll say things periodically to either remind you that you're lost in thought and bring you back to present moment, or wake you up because you have fallen asleep. I'll guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. And starting with the eyes closed, if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, you'll settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, feel them fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. And as the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Breathing in, follow breath in. Breathing out, follow breath out. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments from the practice. Just sitting, breathing. learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, just sitting, breathing. Keeping the mind alert, aware of each sound, each thought, each physical sensation, yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. and no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. Once again, taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And when ready, slowly opening the eyes, slowly beginning to move. And most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. And ask yourselves how you'd prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how we sit and hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It's everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being, no different than any one of us, who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means very simply for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in or where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen. You react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. That's what we get. This practice is simply learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond every other 20-minute period of your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, and disturbed by no one. Imagine going a day without being disturbed by someone. Imagine going an hour without being disturbed by someone. Many of you won't even make it out of the building before you're disturbed. This practice is not easy. It is not an escape as often, especially those who are new, might think it is. If your life is a crazy, hectic, stressed out mess, meditation isn't going to fix that. This practice helps you become aware of your life that's a crazy, hectic, stressed out mess so you can begin to make changes in your life. Meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. It's just sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do in every moment. The Buddha called this karma. Karma literally means action. It's not what goes around comes around. It's not people getting what they deserve. It's not, oh, they did bad, they got this coming to them. That's not what karma is. Karma is what we bring into the world. 3 ways: body, speech, and mind. What we think, what we say, and what we do. Because what we think, what we say, and what we do creates our reality. And our reality is all we know. That's why at the beginning, as I mentioned, this practice isn't about learning about something outside of us. Buddhist practice is like holding up a mirror and exploring the nature of your own mind, understanding everything you think, everything you say, everything you do, and the intention behind each one of those actions. This practice is not about ignoring what other people are doing in the world. It is not sitting in a place of privilege for those of us who have that and pretending everything is fine. Everything is not fine. The world is a mess. But the world has always been a mess, and the world will always be a mess, most likely, or at least for a very long time. But the question is, are you a mess? And this practice is about addressing your mess, not pointing fingers and blaming everybody else, because that's what most people do their whole lives. To me, the practice of engaged Buddhism is critical. Work diligently to create a kinder, gentler world for ourselves and those around us, but do it from a place of loving kindness and compassion, not from anger and hatred and rage, which is where so many people are coming from. Not from a place of thinking you're better than somebody else because of your views, or that because you've meditated for 6 weeks that all of a sudden you're better than those who don't. This practice is a daily practice. It's not a quick fix. It's not a 6-month course that all of a sudden you figured it out. It is getting to know the nature of your mind every single moment for the rest of your life. That's it. So with that, I'll pause. For me, I always prefer to respond to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with. We'll use the rest of our brief time this evening for questions. For those who are joining virtually, again, welcome. Glad you're here. Feel free to say hello. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I'll do my best to respond. So we'll open up to questions, meditation or Buddhism, anything you're sitting with. Yeah.
Man. All right. Long time. Your name's Jeff, right?
Yes,
Jeff.
apparently.
All right.
I've been called a lot worse, so that works.
I'm a
Yeah.
billionaire now. Straight
Cool.
up. No lie.
Great. Congrats.
A year ago, I tried to commit suicide. Twice, actually. I was raped at 5 years old. I had a lot of weird things. I've actually never had sex, never had a girlfriend. I was in a very dark spot. Jeff, I discovered you.
Mm.
And Jeff, this is my last time I will be coming to this temple, but it is lovely. I donated you guys, I think, $20, I think, a long time ago. But I'm going to be donating much more, and you can bring more of those golden Buddhists. I've been blessing people all day today, homies that I didn't even know. And it's, you want to know something, Jeff? Literally, if you send somebody a fucking smiling emoji, literally, a smiling emoji, just like that, I swear to God, it's beautiful. I had people, literally, I was walking around telling people, I was like, yo, I won the fucking lotto. Your mom wants a house? I fucking got it, dude. I got it.
Well, I'm glad that you're happy.
And I want to say just one last thing before I take off.
Yep.
Thank you for everything you've done for me. Like, you literally, man, dark place.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Glad you're doing well.
May all beings be safe.
Yes.
May all beings be free from suffering.
Yes.
Jeff, what you're doing here, never stop doing it.
I can't, man.
Never stop doing it.
Yeah.
Jeff. Thank you so much, dude.
I would die if I stopped.
I give you my life.
Thanks, brother. Keep your life.
Billionaire?
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Like, that's too much money to have, man.
It's too much money to
I
have.
go crazy.
It's a nice jacket, though, you know.
Jeff, you're a great guy. They see you on the world stage.
Thanks.
Like, that guy, Jeff, is crazy.
I'll look for you.
Jeff,
Yes.
you're crazy, Jeff.
I am crazy.
I love you, man.
Finally, something that made sense right there. I am crazy. What else? Other questions, thoughts, comments? Love you too, man. Yes, in the back. Acceptance and ego.
So you were talking about acceptance earlier.
Yeah.
I resonate.
Billionaire!
I can believe every time I don't have acceptance of every emotion I'm feeling. I've heard somebody say the difference between suffering and pain is acceptance or resistance. I feel that's true for me. I don't know what to think about ego and like the fact of that there is no self. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if there is no me. What is
Yeah. So,
experience?
yep, got it. So your question is around ego, self, non-self. Anytime anybody hears non-self for the first time, it's going to be confusing. And it makes it sound as if you don't exist. What's your name?
Callie.
Say again?
Callie.
Callie. So you're here. That was a name that was given to you. You're here. We're having a conversation in this conventional world. But you were just here completely differently from how you perceive yourself. If you ask 10 people to describe Callie, would they all say different things about you?
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
And who's right? Who's wrong? If you describe yourself today, 5 years from now, 5 years ago, who's right? Who's wrong? We are here. We physically exist. Non-self does not mean that we're not here. It means that we exist completely differently from how we perceive ourselves and how other people perceive us. You have a story about yourself. You've been telling yourself your whole life. That story changes. Then you get kind of like a chunk story, and you stick with that one for a while. Maybe you alter it a little bit. But then we start to put ourselves kind of in this definition, in this box, in this label, and I'm this and I'm that, and I've done this and I've done that. And we start thinking that like that is who we are. Callie's just a name, and you've had 1 trillion experiences in this lifetime. None of those are who you are. They're things you've done. And they're defined and viewed and judged and critiqued and labeled differently based on you and everybody else who is experiencing them. So this idea of non-self is, first and foremost, has nothing to do with ego. I'll talk about ego in a minute because that's really the other part of your question. Does that begin to help you understand a little bit differently about non-self? Okay. My first teacher, Buddhist nun, Venerable Isur, she always said, when you ask questions, don't look for answers. Change your question. And what she meant by that, eventually I figured out and began to understand, was that when I would ask a question, it was coming from a place of ignorance because I'm ignorant. And then I would try to learn a little bit more, and I would be like a tiny bit less ignorant. And then the question would change. But then I would think I'd get an answer, but that's not it either. So you're constantly exploring, constantly peeling away this self, the story, the box, the label, always. Second part, ego. Often, and I can just say from a personal experience, when I came into Buddhism, I was like, oh, I'm going to get rid of that ego. Well, that was the most egotistical thing in the world. Like, my ego is so big, I'm positive I can get rid of it, you know? That's ridiculous. Your ego's not going anywhere. The question is, what part of your ego is beneficial and helpful, and what part of your ego is harmful, both to self and to others? So for me, this practice began to show me, how can I see my ego as something I've created that is an illusion based on my own madness? And how can I use it as a tool for good? That's it. My ego is ridiculous. But how can I use it in a way that it benefits the world around me? So ego's not going away. Learn it, understand it. Yeah. What else?
I have a question.
Yes.
If somebody wanted to heal their mind and their body, say they have an illness, whatever it is, what's the easiest way to just use meditation to start doing that?
What was the first part you said? To
If somebody wanted to heal their
Oh,
mind
heal.
and body.
Uh-huh. What's the best way to use meditation to heal the mind and the body?
Yeah.
So a couple things. I'll start with the body first and foremost. One, and I'll say this just as a general kind of asterisk side note, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional, anything. I have no letters after my name. I can't speak to physical illness or pain or any of that stuff. So before I say what I'm about to say, like, that's not my world. Okay. I know what it's like to be an angry, pissed off person, and meditation and Buddhist practice has destroyed most of that. And I'm very happy about that. But physical pain, meditation doesn't fix or heal physical pain. So I hate to put that out there first, but that's where I'm going to start. If one comes into meditation thinking that they're going to use meditation to heal their physical pain, they're going to be really disappointed when it doesn't work. Now, some people will sit here and tell you, if 100 people lead you meditation, they'll lead you 100 different ways. And some people will tell you, yes, use this meditation to heal your body. That's not my understanding nor experience with Buddhist teachings around meditation at all, as far as the physical body, right? I mean, the Buddha himself died at 80, and he died from food poisoning. If he had some magical powers of meditation, then maybe he would have healed that. But the body, as he taught, we experience, once we are born, we are experiencing aging, we experience sickness or disease, right? Disease, and we experience death. That's what the physical body does. In some ways, meditation may actually intensify the pain because it helps you or makes you become aware of it, right? But last thing I'll say on the physical part is there's a beautiful teaching in Buddhism referred to often as the second arrow. So a lot of people come into this practice with chronic pain, things like that, right? And when one has chronic pain, maybe they get angry that they have chronic pain. So now they have chronic pain and they're angry that they have it. Then because they're angry, they start to get depressed. Now they have chronic pain plus anger plus depression. Now they're in pain, angry, depressed, so they start to get sad. And then that leads to anxiety because they don't know if it's ever going to go away. So from the simple physical experience of chronic pain, you've now added anger, depression, sadness, and anxiety. Stick to the first arrow, which is embracing present moment, which is physical pain. Again, none of that heals it, but the second, third, fourth, and fifth arrow make our emotions a mess, right? The second piece to that is, how can meditation help mental? What I heard, I think you said mental. Yeah.
Well,
The mind.
Yeah, I don't believe that the mind and the body can be connected. So sometimes it's opposite, where your physical, your emotional state can bring you physical illness.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm trying to undo some of that emotional
Yeah.
feeling and then physically getting better.
Absolutely. So the second piece where I was going with this is understanding that if we take care of our mind, just the simple common sense of, if you carry tremendous stress and anxiety and anger, you're going to feel it in your body, right? I just started with the first part because I don't want people to think that meditation is all of a sudden going to heal your physical pain. But if you're dealing with stress, anger, anxiety, sadness, depression, and you learn to stay in the present moment with meditation, and you learn to have gratitude and appreciation for life, then a lot of that stress and anger and sadness and anxiety will decrease, which in turn can actually take away a lot of the physical symptoms that we might be experiencing that are a trigger from stress, anger, anxiety, etc. Right? I mean, again, no doctor, but last I checked, the leading cause of death is what? Heart attack. What leads to heart attacks? Anxiety. What helps with anxiety? Meditation. Right? I'm no doctor, like literally. So I have no proof for any of that. But I've been doing this, sharing this practice for nearly 30 years, and it'll help you with stress and anxiety. So if your physical pain is simply coming, and I say that with all due respect, from stress and anxiety, then use meditation to help you deal with stress and anxiety. So it can be, I like to look at it as preventative. So for example, how many of you brush your teeth today? Yesterday? Tomorrow? Every single day you brush your teeth, right? Brush your teeth, you comb your hair. Some of us don't have to worry about that anymore, right? But we do these things every day. You brush your teeth, it's preventative. You don't wait till your teeth fall out to start brushing them. We brush them every single day. Would you ever go 3 weeks without brushing your teeth? No, it'd be gross. So why would we go 3 weeks without taking care of our mind? Our mental, emotional health and well-being is critical. And that absolutely has an impact on our physical body. I think when you first asked it, I heard it more as like, one who's in chronic pain and they want to use meditation to fix that.
And I understand that too.
Yeah.
That was a responsible response as well.
Yeah. I also just want to make sure people don't like quote or believe half the stuff I say, because then they're like, Jeff said I should meditate and my leg's going to get better, So, and I mean that very seriously. Pretty dangerous sitting up here telling people stuff because they tend to listen to you. So I have to be careful. What else? Questions? Yeah.
Struggle with resentment. And I feel like when it hits me, I can get into like these like really fits of rage a little bit. And it's like I can find like really good reasons to be upset about like a specific thing or a specific person. And it seems like it's not like everybody or even a handful of people. It's like very dialed in. And like in my mind, it's like I want to be this loving, caring person who can just like, brush things off and like, but I don't know. It's like I find myself even today just like literally shaking.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe some thoughts on the Buddhist approach.
Yeah. So the question for those virtually didn't hear it was just your struggle with resentment, and not even so much towards a lot of people, but pretty dialed in towards what I heard was like one person. And kind of the Buddhist thoughts or teachings on that. So I was sharing this with somebody earlier, but let me ask this. What's your name? Sorry.
That's Brandon.
Brandon. Brandon, have you ever done anything that caused harm to somebody else?
Yes.
Yeah. Appreciate the honesty. Usually people are like, I'm not sure. Yeah. So you've caused pain to others. And when you've caused pain, were you ever forgiven?
I think so.
Yeah. At time, I mean, maybe sometimes no, but you have at some point in time been forgiven for something you've done. And how does it feel when somebody forgave you for something you've done?
It's a relief.
It's a relief. Okay. So one way to look at it is when we resent things or people, very often it's tied up into some story that we have told ourselves about something that somebody else did. Right. Again, I don't want details and I'm just rambling here, but very often something occurred that we didn't like. And so we build a resentment, whether it was literally a specific action or general views or thoughts or some sort of expression towards you, but something happened that created this feeling of resentment, right? Now, when you've harmed other people, did you do it because you were happy and peaceful and everything was great? Or did you do it because you were suffering and struggling and emotionally in pain and therefore you did something stupid that hurt somebody? Yeah, the latter, right? So when other people do things that harm us, it's not about you at all. It's about them. Now, this doesn't make what they did right. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't justify it. Just like when we're suffering and we do things that cause pain to others, we can't pull out the card that says, oh, well, I was suffering. I'm sorry I treated you that way. That doesn't go over so well. So we have to own that. But the reality is when we hurt, we bring that to other people. So when other people do things that caused you harm or whatever the situation was that led you to feel resentment, this is where the Buddhist teachings on compassion is critical. Because if you can have compassion towards the other individual, my guess is you probably love them a lot, or this wouldn't be an issue. This question is probably not about some colleague that you don't even know, right? It's about somebody that's important in your life. And maybe you love them and care about them a lot, and maybe they did some things they shouldn't have done. But you don't know anything about their entire life's experiences, no matter how much you know and love them, right? Nobody knows what somebody else went through when they were 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old. You know, maybe we've heard stories about it, but just because somebody tells you the stories of what's happened to them, that ain't it, man. Like we don't know what other people are going through. So when you have compassion for somebody else, you begin to understand that whatever they did that caused you to feel harm wasn't about you. But we make it about us. How could you have done that to me? Well, very simply, because they were suffering and struggling and in tremendous pain, which is why they did what they did. They were seeking, or whatever they were looking for, whatever they were doing, whatever they were going through. It was about them. It had nothing to do with you. In many cases, they're not even thinking about you. It's not about you at all. So when we come from a place of compassion, there's no need for forgiveness at all, because we realize when we want to forgive someone, we're thinking about forgiving someone for what they did to us. What they were doing was about them. Forgiveness falls away. Resentment falls away. You understand that people are doing their best. And they do a lot of stupid stuff, just like many of us in this room have done. You don't have to forget it. You don't have to pretend it didn't exist. But my suggestion is the Eightfold Path, right? Four Noble Truths: suffering causes suffering, the ending of suffering are in the path. Eightfold Path is correct view. For me, one of the ways of looking at correct view, which is the first step in the Eightfold Path, is to understand that we don't understand what anybody else is going through. To me, that's the correct view. Again, it doesn't, for those of you who've maybe never heard this before, I'm not justifying or excusing what other people do. This isn't a hall pass, nor is it a hall pass for you. I said that earlier, but it's about them. And you begin to have compassion, empathy, understanding, and your heart actually breaks for the pain and suffering that they were in to do something that ultimately caused you harm. And they probably feel pretty bad about it, I'm guessing, because maybe they care and love you too. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Not easy, man. Buddhism does not solve problems. It actually just, to me, brings things to the surface and forces us to actually look at potential reality of a situation, which causes us, coming back to the non-self piece, to realize that life isn't all about what? Me. We think it's all about us. Therefore, what other people do, it's only about us. It's about them. Yeah. Yep. You have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm having trouble doing this to it, but in general, the ideas of non-self and not trying to attach ourselves to ideas of self, to me is a challenge, because I don't know what would it look like to have, or I guess what would the place be?
Yeah.
A relationship with memories.
Yeah, got it. Great question. Super analytical. You're way too far down the rabbit hole already with non-self. So let me try to reel it back real simple. Like I said, great question about to paraphrase for those virtually didn't hear it. You're trying to understand, in essence, what would non-self look like? Like, how does that work? So let me simplify it. When we look at the second noble truth, the Buddhist teachings on why we suffer, why we have discomfort, angst, dissatisfaction, he said we suffer because of greed, anger, and ignorance. So to overcome greed, we practice compassion. To overcome ignorance, to overcome greed, we practice generosity. To overcome anger, we practice compassion. To overcome ignorance, we practice wisdom. Often when I talk about that, people say, well, what is ultimate wisdom? And my response is, do you know when you do something really dumb? Most people do. Do that less. By default, that is greater wisdom. Right? So I'm going to use the same kind of model and philosophy for this question, which I do all the time. The question is ultimately, how does this non-self even begin to comprehend what non-self looks like in life, is what I'm kind of hearing you say, which is great. Because if the practice is to, I don't like to use the word goal, but if the practice is to abide in a place of non-self, then it makes sense to think, okay, well, what does that look like in theory? So then we have kind of like a model to look for. So what I'm suggesting to you, using that example of wisdom and less ignorance, is, do you know in your life when you're doing things that are pretty much all about you? Sometimes. Okay. So those times that you know it's all about you, do those less. And you'll be practicing by default more non-self. Make sense? When you woke up this morning did you wake up this morning and have breakfast? When you woke up and had breakfast, did you think, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat breakfast? Or at the very same time, did you think, and there are millions of people in the world who are starving right now? Or do you just think, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat? You probably thought, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. This doesn't make you a bad person. You're not a bad Buddhist. You're not like going to Buddhist hell for it. The reality is you just think about you first, which is what most of us do. So that is not the practice of non-self. This also doesn't mean that we ignore ourselves, right? The oxygen mask, you must take care of yourself before you can take care of others. But do we equally think about the importance of others? And then in our interactions with, friends and family and loved ones and colleagues and just traffic and grocery stores and things like that, do we recognize this dependent origination of how we all kind of coexist? We're not the same. We're not all one. We're all physically different with different consciousness, but we still have to coexist and interact with each other. How do we interact with each other in a way that isn't making it seem like it's all about me? And again, if we're being honest with ourselves, like, I don't know about you, but 99.9% of most of my day is like, okay, Jeff, number one. So, yeah, very far away from non-self. And you also can't try to get there, because that would give rise to a sense of self that thinks they have somewhere to get to. Just to save you from going down that rabbit hole also, yeah. It's fun to think about, but yeah. Anything else before we close? We'll do one more question before we wrap up. Is that a hand? Yeah.
Guilt and shame.
Say again?
Guilt and shame.
Guilt and shame. What about it?
That's about self, but it's also, for me, it's also about others. Like processing that and how to.
Yeah.
Buddhist teachings about that.
Yeah. So I'll close with this thought. And as I say often, Buddhist practice, and let me finish before you scatter. Buddhist practice isn't therapy. A lot of people come to Buddhism sent by their therapists. A lot of people are into Buddhism are therapists, because they see the relationship between the two, the connection between the two, the similarities between the two, but they're also very different practices. I do not suggest for those who are in therapy and on meds, all of a sudden abandoning them just because they go to Buddhist classes twice a week, right? Stay with your therapist, stay on your meds, but also add in some meditation and Buddhist stuff. So this idea behind guilt and shame, very similar to the question earlier about resentment. This guilt, the shame that you have, first and foremost, that you might have towards yourself. You've done a lot of stupid stuff in your life, right? Very much so, yes. Stop. Can you change anything that you did in the past? No. We don't need to compare stories here, but I'm pretty certain I've probably done just as much, if not more, stupid stuff than you have done in your life, right? Shy of murder and rape, I've done just about everything out there and caused tremendous pain towards self and others. And for me, very personally, this journey was about getting over guilt and shame that I had towards myself for things I had done. And what I realized was what Buddhism taught me at its core was to have, again, kind of coming back to this, as Dogen, the Zen master, lived 1200 to 1253, he would say, you must get to know the self before you can get rid of the self. So get to know that self that is filled with guilt and shame and recognize everything you did that is causing you the feelings of guilt and shame you did because you're ignorant. And ignorant doesn't mean dumb, stupid, not it. Ignorant means you're ignoring reality, meaning you're wrapped up in thinking in all of those moments that you were most important. Callie, right? So Callie spent Callie's whole life thinking Callie's the only one that matters. Out of my way. Gee, that sounds familiar. I know that path all too well. Be careful, in 20 years, you could end up sitting here doing this, right? I find that the people that have harmed the most, well, I won't go there, but Suzuki Roshi, he said, and I almost said this earlier, he built the San Francisco Zen Center 50s and 60s. He said that he would tell his students, you're all perfect exactly how you are, and you all could use a little improvement. The worst thing you can do is to have tremendous guilt and shame and then feel like, well, why should I even continue? So when you have love and compassion towards yourself, you realize you've done some stupid stuff, but you've also done a couple good things along the way. Don't be afraid to focus on the good things that you've done in your life, the people you've helped, the smiles you've brought to others, the hearts you've opened. You're not nearly as bad as you think you are, right? So when you have love and compassion for yourself, it allows you to begin to create change going forward. Otherwise, you just get stuck in the cycle you're in now, which is vicious. Well, I have guilt and shame, so why should I, you feel terrible about yourself. So why should you do anything good when you feel terrible? Because you're just going to feel terrible. So there you go, you're stuck. Next thing you know, 50 years go by. So give yourself a little pat on the back. Watch some cartoons, do things that are happy and joyful. You deserve love and happiness as much as anybody else. I don't care how much guilt and shame you have, right? The flip side is I've sat and, done prison work for 25 years with people who have murdered and have raped. And they deserve happiness as well. Many of them are just stuck in a cycle of endless trauma, repeating the same things that happened to them. It's really easy to just hate someone for something they've done without understanding anything they have experienced. And that applies to you as well. You can't ever really understand everything you've experienced. But what you can do is do things that bring you joy and happiness so you can work to get out of that cycle. Go help people every single day. That's what I was taught from day one. Engaged Buddhist practice, go help people. You ever helped somebody? How do you feel when you do? Great. Do that every single day for the rest of your life, and you'll feel great. And the guilt and shame slowly will wear off. And then one day you wake up and you think, oh, maybe I'm not a piece of shit. Right? Yeah. I'm going to close on that. We'll join palms. May the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. All right, a few announcements before, and actually Hazel is going to do announcements, but I have two announcements real quick before she comes up for closing announcements. We have a couple things coming up. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of it, sees it. On November 16th, we have a volunteer appreciation, our 5th annual volunteer appreciation event. So if you volunteer in any capacity here at the Dharma Bum Temple, Sunday, 4:00, there's a flyer on the wall. It's on the website. Go to the front page. You'll see it there. It's a really beautiful event. So again, volunteer appreciation event. Also, starting next month, we're going to have a new Engaged Buddhist program where once a month, I think it'll be the third Sunday of the month, but details will come out, where we're going to build a kind of socially engaged outreach group. So if you like meeting people, hanging out with people, getting to know people, but you also want to go do good stuff and be of service, keep an eye out for that. That'll be happening soon as well. So thank you. Hazel, you have the announcements, please. Thanks.
Hello. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and then bring it back whenever you're done with it. Family sangha will be held this Saturday at 11, and kids are welcome. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out. If a few people could stay and close and latch the windows, that would be helpful. Thank you for being here. We wish you well and hope to see you again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.